Hello, Rao. Am I audible to you? All right. So good evening. Welcome to class. We can just start off. All right. So today we'll be discussing about the principle of effective demand. Okay. So what is the significance of this thing? This is the thing which decides the level of manufacturing in any society. Okay, it determines how much should a economy manufacture to be in a state of economic prosperity. So that is the principle of effective demand. Can you just tell me what is the relationship between demand and employment? Do you understand employment? So what is the relation between the two? Can you just tell me that? Abdul, you have any idea about this? Hello, Abdul. Relationship between employment and demand. Okay, whenever there is demand, there is employment. Yes, that is correct. Because when there is demand for a product in the society, then what happens is because of the increase in demand, the profits of the manufacturers will go up. So they will start investing more in the production. So because of that, because of the increase in the level of production, there will be more absorption of workers in the economy. More and more people will find employment if there is an increase in demand for the products. So that is why demand and employment are very much interrelated. Good evening, Naeem. We have just started with the topic. Okay, we haven't done anything significant so far. Am I audible to you properly? All right. So this theory has been laid by Professor Keynes. Okay, he is believed to be one of the senior most economists. So he has laid down the foundation of this one. So this is with reference to the capitalist economy. Capitalist economy is when the means of production are, what is capitalist economy? Abdul and Naeem, can you tell me? Abdul, Naeem? Capitalist economy is when the means of production are owned by the capitalist, okay, or rather they are owned by the private people. That is called capitalist economy. So in a capitalist economy, the level of employment depends on effective demand. So if there is deficiency of, okay, I'll just try. Now is it visible, Naeem, properly? It's readable? Okay. So today we'll be discussing about effective demand and the importance of effective demand. So effective demand means the total level of demand in any society, and this is a very important concept because it is the demand which determines the other things in as well. Now there is a relationship between demand and inflation. Can you tell me what? How is demand and inflation related? What is inflation? Inflation. Yes, inflation means increase in the price level, general price level of goods and services in the economy. So when there is little inflation in the economy, what happens is again the things become expensive. So the producers, they are able to make a lot of profits in that phase. So because of that, because of the they have greeds for making more profits. So because of that nature, they will invest, they will try and produce more and more, and because of that increase in the level of production, they will employ more and more people in the employment, in the production. So more and more people will find employment in the economy. So with that regard, inflation is always good to some extent for any economy. Sometimes government deliberately allows the inflation to be there in the economy because that will help to boost up the economic development. Okay, inflation means higher prices. So because of those higher profits, and higher profits will make the manufacturers more inclined towards increasing the production by employing more and more people. Good evening, Fadi. Yeah, you are a little late. You are late by 10 minutes. Okay, so try and please make it on time, because if you'll miss out the beginning, it may be difficult for you to catch up. So let's just continue with this. So in ordinary parlance, demand means desire. The first topic is effective demand, so that we are now discussing. Now demand means desire. What is the difference between demand and desire? Abdul, Naeem and Fadi. What is the difference between these two terms, demand and desire? Can you just tell me? Demand and desire. So demand is what you must have. No, Fadi. Demand is actually a desire, and yeah, demand and desire are very same at the first instance, but the difference between the two is demand is something which can be satisfied, or for we have the economic power to satisfy demand. We have money to satisfy our demands. Okay, like I'm having a demand of a mobile phone, and I'm having a desire of iPhone. So there is a difference. Demand is having a mobile phone is my demand, and I can satisfy that. I have the money, I have the means to buy a mobile phone. But having an iPhone is my desire, and I don't have money to buy that. That is the difference between the two. So demand, desire backed by economic power to satisfy it is called demand. So it becomes effective when income is spent in buying consumption goods and investment goods. So Keynes used the term effective demand to denote the total demand for goods and services at various levels of employment. So different levels of employment represent different levels of aggregate demand. But there can be a level of employment where aggregate demand equals aggregate supply. Yes, that is the point that it is the point at which demand and supply are equal to each other. Now how that point is derived, that we are going to discuss in a short while. So this is the point of effective demand. So in the words of Keynes, the value of D, that is aggregate demand, at the point of aggregate demand function where it is intersected by the aggregate supply function will be called the effective demand. Like if this is a graph, this is the supply curve, this is the demand curve. So they are cutting each other at this point. So this will be the point of effective demand. Okay, effective demand, ED. This is the point of that. Aggregate means representing the whole economy or the general level of demand in the economy. So now going further, what is this aggregate demand price? So aggregate demand price means the income that we are expecting from the sale of a particular level of goods and services in an economy. Like a manufacturer will go for producing more goods only if he anticipates future profits. If he is not anticipating that, he is not going to do that. So having resources in our hand, how much profits do we expect by producing or by selling a particular level of goods with a particular level of employment, that is called the aggregate demand price. Did you get it? Abdul Naeem Fadi? Okay. Let's just see further. Fadi, I said that aggregate demand price means the expected sale proceeds by selling a particular level of goods. How much profits are we expecting? That is called the aggregate demand price. So the aggregate demand price for the output of any given amount of employment is the total sum of money or proceeds which is expected from the sale of the output produced when that amount of labor is employed. Okay. Thus, the aggregate demand price is the amount of money which the entrepreneurs expect to get by selling the output produced by the number of men employed. If we are employing 10 men, 10 labor, then out of that 10 labor, we are getting some production, and with that production, whatever money we are expecting to earn is called the aggregate demand price. So in simple words, it refers to the expected revenue from the sale of output produced at a particular level of employment. So different aggregate demand prices relate to different levels of employment in the economy. Now, in table 1, there is a statement which is showing the different demand prices at different levels of employment. Now we can see that. Can you see this? This table, table 1, aggregate demand schedule. Everybody? Okay, so you can see when we are employing 20 lakhs, the aggregate demand price is 230, means by employing 20 lakhs people or by having an employment level of 20 lakhs, we are expecting 230 crore as our revenue. With 25, this is 240. So with every subsequent increase, it is increasing till we are employing, like towards the end, it is increasing. Every time it is increasing. With 45 level of employment, we are expecting 280 aggregate demand price. So it is continuously increasing. Okay. So it is very feasible to employ till 50 lakh level of employment, because till this we are getting an increase in our aggregate demand. So we are having a good go. So this is the explanation to the table. The table reveals that with the increase in the level of employment, proceeds expected rise, and at lower levels of employment they decline. So when 45 lakh people are provided employment, the aggregate demand price is 280 crores. And when 25 lakh people are provided jobs, it is rupees 240 crores. So according to Keyes, the aggregate demand function is an increasing function of the level of employment and is expressed as D is equal to F function. That means aggregate demand is a function of aggregate demand price. Actually should be AD, not O. This should be D. So where D is the proceeds which entrepreneurs expect from the employment of N men. Alright? Is it clear? Okay. What about others? Fadi? Nahi? That fine? Alright. So if we are going to plot this whole schedule on a graph paper, we are going to get an increasing curve. We'll get a curve which will look something like this. It is increasing towards the right. Alright. Now next is aggregate supply price, the second part. There are two determinants to the aggregate demand. So the one was the aggregate demand price which we have discussed. Now aggregate supply price. Now what is this supply price? Can you tell me? Any idea? Anybody? What is this supply price? No, nobody? Okay, I'll just tell you, Fadi. It means aggregate supply price means the level of cost to an entrepreneur. Like when we are as a manufacturer, if we are producing a particular good, then we have to invest also. We have to pay rent for the land. We have to pay wages to the labor. We have to pay interest on the capital that we have invested, and we have to pay remuneration to our entrepreneur as well. So we are incurring certain costs. So that cost will mean the supply price. Okay. So when an entrepreneur gives employment to certain amount of labor, it requires a certain quantities of operant factors like land, capital, raw materials, etc., which will be paid remuneration along with labor. Thus, each level of employment involves certain money costs of production, including normal profits which the entrepreneur must cover. Okay, so over and above his cost, he should be able to make certain profits as well. If he is not incurring that profit, then it is a waste of time if he is not able to get a marginal level of profit from his manufacturing. So at any given level of employment of labor, aggregate supply price is the total amount of money which all the entrepreneurs in the economy taken together must expect to receive from the sale of the output produced by that given number of men, if it is to be just worth employing them. So in brief, we can say that the supply price refers to the proceeds necessary from the sale of output at a particular level of employment. Thus, each level of employment in the economy is related to a particular aggregate supply price. It is something like demand price only, but demand price means the remuneration which we expect from our sales, the sale proceeds, the revenue, and this supply price is the minimum of revenue which we must get in order to cover our costs. Okay? Did you understand the difference between the two? Abdul, Naeem, Fadi, did you understand the difference? Naeem? Naeem? Okay. Now here is one statement which is showing that, as you can see, the level of employment, when it is 20, we need to have a supply price of 250. When it's 25, it should be 230. At 30, it should be 245. So it is continuously increasing. Okay. But with these level of employment, at 40 lakh level of employment, the aggregate supply price is remaining constant. It is 275, then it is going to 290, and it is going to 305. Means we are having an increment of 50 lakhs at different level. At different level, we are having an increment of 15 lakhs. So, which one is the best point? What do you think is the best point? Abdul, Naeem and Fadi. Which one is the best point out of these in the whole graph? What do you think? Last one? Okay. What about Abdul and Naeem? $4,305. No, actually not. That is not the best point. This is the best point. 40 and 275, because this is with reference to the cost. This is not with reference to the revenue. Okay, this is in regard to the cost. So the cost should be kept minimum to get the maximum benefits. So this 275 is the minimum. At like 40 lakh level of employment, we have to get at least a minimum of 275. Then at again for 40 lakhs of employment, we have to get 305 lakh crores of rupees. So this is not the best point. If it would have been just revenue, then we can say this is the best point. But this is including cost in it, so this is not the best point. So the best point is this one, because beyond this point, the employment level is not increasing. It is stagnant at 40. Can you see? It's 40, 40 and 40. It's stable. It's not increasing. So there is no point in putting more and more money into the business, because employment level is not increasing, and our concern is to increase the level of employment at the same time. So 40 is the point of full employment for an economy in such a state. Alright? Is that fine? Any doubts? Okay. So you can just read these two paragraphs, this one and this one. Please read it. This is what I have explained. Just read and make sure that you are not having any doubt. If you have, I'll just clarify. Sorry, the connection went off. Is my voice reaching all of you? Okay. So if we are going to draw a curve on the basis of that schedule, it will slope upward from left to right, because as the necessary expected proceed increases, the level of employment also rises. So, but when the economy reaches the level of full employment, the aggregate supply curve becomes vertical. Even with the increase in the aggregate supply price, it is not possible to provide more employment as the economy has attained the level of full employment. In that schedule, it is point 40. Beyond this, no employment is being generated. So, the curve will become a vertical line at that point. Now, how are we going to determine the effective demand? Let's see that. So, there are two determinants. One is the effective demand price and the other is the effective supply price. Now, how they help in determining the level? Let's see. So, what is the point of aggregate demand? It is the point where what entrepreneurs expect to receive equals what they must receive and their profits are maximized. This point is called the effective demand, and here entrepreneurs earn normal profits. So long as the aggregate demand price is higher than the aggregate supply price, the prospects of getting additional profits are greater when more workers are provided employment. So the proceeds expected rise more than the proceeds necessary. So this process will continue till the aggregate demand price equals the aggregate supply price and the point of effective demand are reached. That we will be seeing in the diagram that has been given here. So this determines the level of employment and output in the economy. So the point of effective demand is, however, not necessarily one of full employment but of underemployment equilibrium. Okay, first we'll discuss that and then we'll see the graph, because there is one addition thing added to that graph. So if the aggregate demand price is raised still further, it will lead to inflation, because no increase in employment and output is possible beyond the level of full employment. Yes, because we are not able to manage the supply side. We are not able to give more goods because the level of employment is already achieved, the full level of employment. So in that case, what will happen is we will have a situation of inflation, means rising prices. So what will happen in this case is the demand price will start rising. Let us see how. Now you can see this is a new schedule which is showing the level of employment, the aggregate supply price and aggregate demand price. So if it's 20, the supply price is 215, it is continuously increasing. Okay. Now aggregate demand price. Initially it was 230 and now it has risen to 235. It was 240 and now it is 245, because in this case we are assuming that we are not able to produce more goods, because already economy is at the full level of employment. So we are not able to give more goods to the people in the economy. So because of that, there is an increase in the demand for the existing goods, and whenever there is an increase in demand, there is an increase in prices. You know that. So that is why the prices of the goods are increasing. Prices means the expected revenue. The aggregate revenue which we are expecting is continuously increasing then. Can you see that? Did you understand this phenomena? Abdul, Naeem and Fadi, why the prices are rising? Why there is a new price column? Okay, that's good. You know, what we are assuming in this case is that this is the point of maximum employment. Okay, so or not the point of maximum employment, like when the employment level is 20 lakhs, means 20 lakh people are employed, the supply price is 215. Supply price means the money that we have to invest, that is 215 crore. So the demand price is 230. Now the demand price is more, and what is happening is that the demand for goods may be rising too quickly, and we may not be able to match up the supply with it. Okay, the supply will be at a lower will be on a lower side. So because of this, a gap between the demand and supply is created, and because the demand is higher, it's like it's 15 points higher over here. You can see it's 215 and it is 230. It is 230 and it is 240. So what will happen is the demand for the products will continuously rise, and because of the increase in demand, the price of products will also go up, because the supply is limited and the thing is in demand. So obviously the shopkeepers will increase the price of that product. So because of this, the new prices will come up. Okay, like for a product which was for 230, now it is 235. Something that was 240, now it's at 245. 250, 255. Got that? Okay. Abdul, Fadi, did you get that? Fadi, did you get it? Okay, so now we see that the new price level is coming up, and yes, definitely, Fadi. That is from the old simple theory of demand and supply. Demand is higher than the supply, so prices will automatically rise. So same thing is happening over here, because it is difficult to adjust the supply side, because we cannot increase the production of goods at one go. We cannot arrange for labor, capital, land in a very short span of time. It is a time taking process. Yeah, it's vice versa as well. So let's just discuss this graph now. So this illustrates the determination of effective demand, where AD is the aggregate demand function and AS is the supply function. You can see it has been plotted. This AS is the supply and this AD is the demand function. This has been drawn on the basis of the schedule that is given over there. So they both are intersecting each other at point E. So this point E is the point of effective demand, or in other words, we can manufacture ON is the optimum level of employment in the economy. Okay. Now, because of the limited supply, because the supply is limited, what will happen is the prices are going to go further up. So you can see the price has now gone from proceeds. This has been termed as proceeds. So proceeds are, it has risen to C, level C, and the revenue is R1. C is for cost and R is for revenue. So this revenue is R1 and this cost is C1. So what is more, cost or revenue? Cost. Yes, Fadi, cost is more. So because the cost is more than the revenue, then what do you think? It is a state of profit or loss? Yes, it is a state of loss. So no manufacturer will like to be at this point. So what will happen is this automatically will come down, or rather we can say since this is the point of, this is indicating the level of employment. So when the cost is more than the revenue, then there is no point in increasing the employment level in the society, because that is not giving us a favorable result. Our cost is going above our revenue. So the entrepreneurs will not increase the employment beyond this point. They will just adhere to this point. They will remain at this point only, that is point E. Now, if in case the cost comes down to C, now this is cost and this is revenue. So in this case, revenue is higher than the cost. So this is a situation of profit for the entrepreneur, isn't it? Revenue is more and cost is less. Revenue is at a higher point and cost is at a less point. Is it a profitable situation? Abdul, Naeem, Fadi and Prakash. Yeah, it is a profitable situation. But again, the manufacturer will not focus on this point. Why? Because at this point, the level of employment is not maximum. The full level of employment hasn't been attained. So that is why this is again not a feasible point for the economy. The feasible point is again this one. because at this point the cost and revenue are equal to each other, and at the same time the level of employment is maximum. There is full employment in the economy. So this is the point which every economy would like to attain. Okay. Anything above or less than this point is not a good situation for the economy, is not a win-win situation. So it will focus on this point, attaining this point only. Did you get it? No, there is profit. At this point, a marginal, like this revenue that we are talking about, it is including a certain percentage of profit as well. Okay, normal profit is included. Normal level of profit is a part of this revenue. It is hidden in that. So this is the situation which every economy will aim at, or the point which every economy will aim at. This is just the explanation to the whole graph that we have already discussed. Now we have discussed about two things: effective demand and effective supply price, isn't it? So but out of these two, Keynes believe that demand is a more dominating factor than the supply. Because, can you tell me why? Because why is there is a because in this? Why he believes so? Why he believes that demand is more important than the supply? Because supply is somewhat fixed. Supply is not something which can be varied very quickly, especially in the short run. We have discussed this previously, that in the short run, the supply of goods and services cannot be altered. It will remain fixed. So same thing is in this case also. So that is why we assume that demand is the dominating factor. Demand is the one that is going to be in a dominating position. So it is therefore the aggregate demand function which plays a vital role in determining the level of employment in the economy. So according to Keynes, the aggregate demand function depends on the consumption function and investment function. Now what is this consumption function and investment function? What is this consumption expenditure? Consumption expenditure means the expenditure which is done by the people on their consumption of goods. Okay, and expenditure, investment expenditure is something that is done, that is of investment nature. Like if we buy a building, so that is an investment expenditure, isn't it? We are investing money in the building. We are not consuming it at once, we are investing. So that is an investment expenditure. So how this thing can be tackled? Like in this case we were seeing that there was a new demand price cropping up every time. Now how the gap between the two will be bridged up? The gap will be between the two will be bridged up either by increasing the demand function, the consumption expenditure or the investment expenditure. Okay, by increasing either of the two, we'll be able to, by increasing either of the two, we'll be able to bridge the gap. So you can read from here, the cause of unemployment may be a fall in either consumption expenditure or investment expenditure or both. So the level of employment can be raised by increasing either consumption expenditure or investment expenditure or both. So it is the aggregate demand function which is the effective element in the principle of effective demand. So you can see this is another graph continuation to that. So this is aggregate supply AS, this is aggregate demand AD. So they are intersecting at point E. So point E is the point of full employment. But going by the previous discussion or the previous phenomena which we have seen in the economy, what happens is this demand is going to go up. This will come to AD1. So what are we going to do over here is we are going to raise the either our expenditure on consumption or either our expenditure on investment. If we are going to increase the investment expenditure, means more machineries will be put up, more lands will be acquired, then what will happen? More employment will be generated, isn't it? We need men to run the machinery, we need men to work on the land which we have purchased, so more employment will be generated in the economy. Hello. All right. So this is just an explanation to this. This is the new point of effective demand which provides an optimum level of employment ON to the economy. If the aggregate demand function is raised beyond this point, the economy will experience inflation because all the existing resources are fully employed and their supply cannot be increased during the short run. So as is apparent from the vertical position of the AS curve in the figure. So if we will go for this point, we will face a situation of inflation because our resources are already over exhausted. They are fully employed, fully exhausted. So we cannot expect more from them. So, hello? 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 Can you hear me, everybody? Okay, okay. All right. So, if we look at this graph, if we will look at this point, that is E1, this is again not a practical possibility for us because this point is above the point of full employment, and at this point only, at point E only, our resources are fully employed. They are already fully exhausted. So we cannot expect anything more from that. So with the given set of resources, we cannot increase the level of employment. If we either get new resources or only in that case we'll be able to increase the level of employment. Alright. So the best point is point E, and ON is the best level of employment or the full level of employment in the economy. Is that fine? Can you hear me? Okay. Hello. Am I audible, everyone? Okay. All right. So Fadi has asked a very good question. What is the conclusion to this? So the conclusion to this is that the level of full employment is determined by two things, that is effective demand price and effective supply price. So effective demand price is the revenue which we expect from our sales, and expected supply price is the cost which is expected to be invested, which is expected to be put into the business. So Abdul, others can hear me. Hello, you all can hear me, I guess. That may be because of the signal. I think it should be okay now. Okay. So yeah. I was just telling you about this, the conclusion of this topic or the crux of this topic. So out of these two factors, the aggregate demand price is more dominant, because we cannot alter the supply in the short run. The supply will remain fixed to certain extent. So that will remain, that cannot be varied over a period of, that can be varied only over a period of time, not in the short run. So it is the demand price that is more influential in determining the full level of employment. And why is it important to determine the full level of employment? Because it is at this point that the maximum level of employment is generated in the economy, and we may be in a situation where the effective demand prices may be going up, but the level of employment is remaining the same. Like that in the case of second schedule, which we saw, it was 40, it was 280, then 295, then 305. So it was increasing, but the level of employment was remaining the same. So at the first point, the first 40 was the best, because at that point only we were having the maximum level of employment and the minimum of cost. So this is it, and this is very important from the point of an economy to know its level of full employment, because level of full employment gives us a complete overview of the economy, and it also helps in the maximum exploitation of the resources. Okay, and it is very important to exploit the resources to their fullest, because we already have a scarcity of resources. That is why we study economics, because it gives solution to this problem. Okay, is that clear? Now did you get the conclusion? Abdul, Naeem, Fadi, Prakash, although Prakash has joined very late. Okay. Means what we were discussing in between was that there could be these situations, there could be these possibilities. At one point of time the prices may go up, at one point of time the prices may come down. How will the things work out? The things will work out at that point only, that where the full employment level is attained. Okay, so this is the crux of this theory, crux of this topic. I hope all of you have understood it, and thanks for attending the class. Thanks for your time, everybody. We'll meet in the next class, that is going to fall on Thursday. Okay, thanks everyone. Okay, everybody, bye. See you in the next class. Good night, take care. Have a great week from tomorrow. Bye, good night.